Welcome to Getting Heated, the place to debate and discuss all things surf-related. On deck today, the Rip Curl Rottnest search has been unfamiliar waters for most surfers on tour, but who has adjusted best to the new location? And does Tatiana Weston Webb's early exit at the Rip Curl Rottnest search create a true setback to her title campaign? Plus, big scores can come with even bigger claims, but claiming it isn't for everyone. Do we love them or hate them? Finally, with new event champs, injuries, and upsets, who has the best chance of slipping into the final five at this point of the season? Time to get these heats started. Here's Coco Ho.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Getting Heated. It's about to get very opinionated in here with three-time world champ Mick and former CT standout and coach Ross Williams. Guys, are you watching the Rip Curl Rottnest search?
Have been a little bit, yeah. I've really enjoyed the new location and watching everyone trying to figure it out.
Coco, you must be tripping on that wave. It looks just like Rocky Rights out there.
It kind of does. I'm digging that little inside shelf. We didn't really know what to expect when the event started at Rottnest Island, but some have adjusted a lot better than others. And that's the subject of Heat 1. With several new locations on the championship tour schedule this season, the surfers had to make some big adjustments to the norm, but probably none bigger than competing at the Rip Curl Rottnest search. So the Heat 1 question is, who has adapted to the new location best, and who is your dark horse that's going to do really well? Mick, I'd love to hear your picks.
Yeah, look, I guess the obvious answer is, your gold jerseys have come out with a bang. But I think someone who's been in incredible form but just hasn't had much luck through this Australian leg is Connor O'Leary. I think he came out with a bang in that first heat. He looked so on point. From the whispers that I'm hearing from over west, he's one of the guys that's in top form in the free surf. So I'm going to put some cash on him and see if he goes all the way. The other person, I think this wave really suits this person down the ground, and that's Joanne Defay. The left, she's got an incredible backhand. She's won in many lefts, especially growing up at St. Lou, and her forehand is strong for those rights. So they're my two picks for the rest of the event.
Yeah, solid, Mick. I think, the whole question here of adapting to this new spot at Rottnest Island is it's a good call because, I think everyone only had, 2 days to warm up. So everyone was trying to figure out the lineup, where to sit. No one's familiar with certain swell directions. No one has a history of really surfing this wave. So as you mentioned, someone who's known for figuring out waves always, like his first session, he's such a natural, is Gabriel Medina. It's a natural gift. It really is. It's so impressive. I mean, rewinding a bit, I remember when Gabriel his first couple years in Hawaii, he instantly figured out the lineup at Pipe, at Sunset. He's just one of those guys where you can see his mind turning when he's in the water. He's instantly honing in on where to sit, where the locals are sitting, which boil to focus on. And then the other thing that just freaks me out about Gabriel is those waves were really hard to surf. Let's face it, it was really straight. It was sort of bending out to seas both ways. Even the right and the left looked pretty tough unless you got like the magic wave per set. And that 9.3 or whatever it was that Gabriel got in the offshore wind to do an alley-oop and then a reverse in the same wave was just out of this world. So Gabriel instantly figures out the lineup and then refuses to surf bad in really tricky conditions. So, I mean, he is just a beast. As far as a dark horse, I really liked the way Nikki Van Dyke surfed. I thought she was really smart to in an elimination round to go over to those little rights. I think, if that's a lesson to have out here at Rottnest Island is you can't really solidify yourself to one plan. You have to be kind of nimble. And, I thought that was very clever for her to go over to those rights. And it also was a reminder of how great she surfs in those sort of slabby, shallow reefs. She's a little warrior. She was, hitting the lip pretty hard out there.
Nice. It's a good dark horse. She's got a pretty tough heat coming up against Stephanie Gilmore. So we'll see how she goes.
Yeah, I kind of like her chances because Stephanie Gilmore has that long, drawn-out turn, very stylish and carvy, whereas Nikki's a little sharper and and creates angles. So, it would be an upset, but I think she could do it.
Yeah, Steph on that little ride could be pretty exciting. She's got obviously her forehand surfing is incredible, but I think it's no secret she tries to avoid lefts, as we all do on the Gold Coast, and I think that might be a little bit of a downfall for her, but her backhand is incredible. She's just got to back herself and really believe in it.
One thing I think that had me tripping about Rottnest was getting comfortable looked very hard there because of the inconsistency alone.
I heard the free surfs were out of this world. Annoying.
When we return, will Tati's early round loss hurt her title campaign? And to claim or not to claim? That is the debate. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Getting Heated. In a new location, we saw a handful of unexpected upsets. Let's get into a huge one on the women's side for Heat 2. After taking the event win at Margaret River, Tatiana Weston Webb had a surprising loss early in the elimination round against Nikki Van Dyke and wildcard Mia McCarthy. So, for Heat 2, does Tati's early round loss create a real setback to her final campaign? Mick, what's the setback?
I don't think so. I don't think the setback is going to be that big. What I will say, though, is that the curse of the hero to zero. She's been in such great form. She's finaled pretty much every event of the Australian leg, and to have back-to-back finals and then come out with a win. I think what's happened here is maybe her preparation or desire sort of lacked a little bit. She would have been getting pulled each and every way after the big win. She was the it girl for a couple of days, and you sort of start missing little things. Also too, because your confidence is so high, maybe she thought she could have put scores on the board on lackluster waves, where you can't do that in the CT. So a setback, I don't think so. I think it's probably just a good learning curve for her, but realizing the mistakes that she made will help her out when it comes to these finals, in September. But yeah, she's got to go and address exactly what's happened and why she, frothed out too much on those little waves.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really frustrating one for me to watch, Mick, as her coach and talking to her prior and coming up with a good little game plan. And I know her tendencies. Everyone has their strengths. Everyone has their weaknesses. And so you try to fit in their strengths into that 30 minutes at that surf spot. And so for Rottnest, the morning of the elimination round was really slow. So you knew it was going to be challenging. We knew that there was going to be a bit of a luck factor, and you have to really make zero mistakes. The event she lost early in Newcastle was sort of the same thing, where she just had a hard time. Two things: identifying which waves were really scoreable, and then picking up the pace in terms of the rhythm of the sets. And she did that in the elimination round. Her very first wave, she chose like a 2-foot little closeout, and then there was just a bomb behind her, and then it went flat for like 15 minutes. So when you have slow, inconsistent conditions like that, it really does put emphasis on making perfect decisions. She made a couple of mistakes, but her energy, her focus was really good. Her confidence is always high, but I don't think she was getting cocky or ahead of herself. It was just one of those things. And looking back with her as sort of a team with Greg Browning, and she's got good support there, but looking back at it, we're just trying to make sure, okay, I know you got a bit unlucky, but there's always mistakes that have been made. Let's make sure you don't miss the point here and move on.
Yeah, a few days ago, Ross, I was going to say maybe you should stay at home and coach from home. Greg was doing such a great job with 2 finals back to back, and she looked incredible. Sometimes you just get ahead of yourself. Sometimes, you don't get the preparation that you want. That's not going to get any easier, especially when she's at the top of the ratings. She's going to get called for more interviews. She's going to get called for more appearances. So I think learning to adapt and be prepared with shorter preparations might be a thing for Tati.
Well, you're definitely speaking from experience, and firsthand that there's something there. When you win events, certainly win a world title, you're going to get asked a lot more for interviews and stuff like that. So there's energy that's being pulled from you in that way, and that might have been a small aspect of it. But Her preparation was as good as anyone else. Everyone had a couple days. She warmed up a bunch. Her boards were working really well. Just a couple very small mistakes in those heats that was magnified by a very inconsistent swell. And also, Greg Browning is tour papa. I'm the coach right here. So you can clock those victories right here, pal.
Might have to take your 10%, mate.
The inconsistency in Tati's heat was so heartbreaking. I would have loved to see her with another big win and an even better big claim, which is our subject for Heat 3. Claims in surfing. Do we love them or hate them? Ross, what's your take?
Oh, we love claims. I mean, claims are awesome. That's just pure emotion pouring out of your body. The tricky part is timing. If you get too wrapped up in needing a score, especially if it's a mediocre score, and you fist pump and do that sort of selling it to the judges type of claim, and it doesn't come off right, that's when you're sort of putting yourself out there. And there's been a handful of sort of funny moments, awkward moments out there of people trying to sell it to the judges and kind of claiming a wave that they would nowhere near claim if they're free surfing or filming for a part or something. So it's a different animal. It's in the heat of competition, a 4.8 or a 6.8 can mean everything to you, and it's about advancing, and that's when you get some really funny claims. But some are worse than others, Mick.
Some are definitely worse than others. Look, I think there's a bit of chatter around canoas at Margaret River. It's pretty funny. He was right in the moment there, wasn't he? But then there's a fun side to it. I remember when I was competing, I would bet with mates a lot of the time. If I got a good wave, I would make up a claim with them, or even have bets on football games where I had to do a claim of their choice. There's one at J-Bay where I had to do the 2-5 for a mate's AFL jersey number. Another one in Fiji, I told my Fijian friends that I'll do the meki and do the hula dance. But there is a side to it where it can be very disruptive. This one was incredible. Wiggly Donta's first Joel Parkinson at J-Bay. He got absolutely barreled, and he claimed it so hard he threw himself off the wave and missed the score by that much.
I do remember that.
That right there is when you want to uppercut yourself and say, I'm never going to claim again.
I remember that. I clearly remember that. And that's my whole sort of take on this is, by no means do we want to see claims go away. Claims are awesome, they're entertaining, but you better make sure it's a pretty darn good wave or it's a good score, because if not, it could be pretty embarrassing. And on top of that, if you're prolific, if you're someone that's consistently claiming and sort of selling it, people are going to notice, and it's kind of like the boy who cried wolf too many times, and it's going to look embarrassing. And there's some that are, consistently claimed. You brought up Kanoa. Kanoa kind of claims a lot. He does this kind of funny thing too, where it looks like he's really mad and angry and wants to fight his surfboard. That he's got his passionate claim. Tyler Wright is kind of a prolific claimer on the women's side. I think she claims a bit too much. Ace Buchan was another one, kind of selling it to the judges a lot, I think. But at the end of the day, it's really fun to watch. It's entertaining, but you're putting yourself out there.
That's one side of it. One person who I love watching claim is Joanne DeFay. She's just her excitement after a wave. She's like, oh my God, I just did that. Or, it's incredible. She's so fun to watch when she is claiming, because it's all just pure joy. She never really fist pumps as if she's ever mad or anything like that. And that's fun. So look, I'm a fan of watching people's emotions. I'm a fan of the claim. But yeah, as you said, don't fall off for a claim, because then you look like an idiot.
Oh, poor Wiggly. I will say, Coco, I don't know if you remember this, though, 2 or 3, maybe 4 years ago, Kelly Slater came up with the idea of putting out a tip jar. And if anyone claimed a wave that was under 8-point ride, you had to put $100 in there. Somehow that idea wasn't very popular.
Everyone would be broke right now.
Exactly. And it was getting too consistent.
Judges aren't giving over 5.
Too many surfers were abusing the claim. That was the whole theory there. So maybe we should bring that back, the naughty claim tip jar.
I fully remember that conversation, and I think that's why I've never once claimed anything.
That's a lie. I've seen you claim.
I think I claimed at Surf Ranch solely off being stoked that I completed the wave. That's it.
Exactly.
That's worth it. That's worth it.
When we return, will the final 5 see some big changes at the end of the Aussie leg? We're going deep into this when we come back. Welcome back to Getting Heated. Guys, how are you feeling about your initial Final 5 predictions?
I have no idea who I chose.
I think pretty good. 4 out of 5 in both sides.
Nice. The Final 5 will be our topic of going deep. Who do you think has the best chance of slipping into the Final 5 at this point? Ross, who are your picks as of late?
I like Griffin. I think Griff has sort of found his groove, Mick. I think, we've always talked about his talent, how he's a potential top guy, and it seems like he's got a lot of momentum. Obviously, he's sitting at 6th right now in the ratings. He's still going as we speak at Rottnest Island. But I see him as a surfer that is going to surf well at the Surf Ranch. He loves that venue. He loves, I think he's a bit of a clutch surfer. He likes the pressure. And Brazil and Mexico too sit him down right to the tee. So, and the cool thing about Griffin is I like his chances at lowers. That's a home event for him. He's great in the air. He's a strong power surfer. So I'm on the Griff train for this one.
Yeah, look, Griff's a great call. One person who I feel has been doing incredible surfing, but just hasn't got the big result yet. And I feel like it's just right there is Arcal. He surfed incredibly at Margs. He's been surfing. He surfed incredible at Newcastle, and he's just been unlucky in the heats that he's lost. But he's been putting up big scores every event. So I feel like he's on the verge of a really big result. I feel like the left at Rottnest is something that will really suit him down to the ground. But then the right, his backhand, he's got that big throwaway full rotator as well. So on the girls' side, this one's a tricky one, but I think we're going to see an extremely strong tussle between Tyler and Sally Fitzgibbons. Sally is so well-rounded in all different realms of the areas. You talk about the Surf Ranch, you talk about Brazil, you talk about Mexico. She can fire in all those locations. Tyler is incredible in all those locations as well. Where I'll give Sally the upper edge, just by a hair, is on her backhand. Watching Sally at the Surf Ranch, she was incredible. Place like Brazil on her backhand, I think they're the places that are gonna. She might just have a little bit of an edge over Tyler. But in saying that, Tyler surprises me every time she paddles out. So I just feel like those two are going to have a great tussle.
Yeah, the women's side seems more predictable for sure. Like I see Tyler Wright on the women's side catching momentum, because up to this point, I haven't been impressed with her surfing for, if you compare it to herself. She hasn't surfed up to par for what she can produce, not even by a long shot, in my opinion. So I think she's too talented and still too competitive to sort of stay in that funk. I think she's going to snap out of it during this event. And I like the way Tyler surfs in barrels. I think she can get great barrel riding in Mexico at the ranch. But if I did have to choose a dark horse for the women, I like Isabella. I know she's really inconsistent, but that's to be said for a rookie. But she's got a bit of fireworks in her surfing. She seems like she's got a ton of tenacity too. She's like really fun to watch. She's a fiery competitor. So if I had to choose one dark horse for the women, Mick, I would go Isabella.
All good picks. One thing I forgot to mention about Tyler, you brought up Tahiti, is that her brothers are going to be in the channel screaming at her. So she's going to have to go. And she has surfed before. The boys have pushed her into some big waves. So, maybe that research that she's done there in the past might serve her well, especially coming into that final event, and then having her brothers right there with all their info. That could be a little bit of a tip in the right direction for Tyler. But yeah, look, I'm super excited, especially on the men's side, about what could happen, because those guys that are sitting in 6th, 7th and tied for 8th, we haven't even spoken about Connor Coffin or Kanoa. Those two guys can really put it together when the time comes. And I feel like Kanoa's one who's really finding his feet on tour, and he's deadly in all conditions. He's one of those guys that has the magnet on. He always seems to be on the best wave. So, that really falls in his favour as well. Yeah,
Kanoa is such a modern day surfer, isn't he? He seems super wired and just tapped in. He is like constantly gauging the lineup. He's a really smart surfer. And I like the way Kanoa surfs at the surf ranch. He's pretty aggressive, which I like, because in the ocean, I feel like Kanoa tends to be a little bit conservative or more of a control freak surfer. Like he makes sure he lands his moves, so he scales it back a bit, but not so much at the surf ranch. Kanoa is like pretty aggressive there. He usually blasts a big air reverse, that first section on the right at the surf ranch. So yeah, he's going to be a fun one to watch unfold here for the West Coast.
Yeah, he's pretty deadly in that surf ranch. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. And look, I can't wait to watch more.
Very solid picks for someone who can slide in. I feel like these last 4 events have shown us a lot.
Who's your picks, Coco?
I didn't really think about mine. I feel like the girls is much more locked in than the guys, and that's how it's kind of been my whole career. The top 5 was always the same few girls, but it's exciting to see new faces in there. You got Tati, you got Caroline, and I think they'll be there for a long time. That does it for today's episode. Don't miss the pointy end of the Rip Curl Rottnest search on worldsurfleague.com. Good luck with your fantasy teams.
Cheers.